I'm going to tell you about the truth of mortality that I have found out in the last few days. So I was just thinking a lot about it, not willingly, of course. My mind was just going those places, and I was just letting it to do that. So I came across this discovery, and that is, it's going to be hard to believe for you, but let me get into it regardless. So you always hear in those programs, oh, there's only strength and weakness. There is no such thing as badness and goodness, or good and evil, or whatever, or that there's only power and people who don't have it and people who do have it. And it's a kind of popular concept, so I agree with it. Most people don't. There is only strength and weakness, or strength and a lack thereof. So there might be either strength or no strength, and that's it. That's because I think that strength and weakness are synonymous with goodness and evil. So evil is just an absence of resistance to your natural path of instinct. So normally humans just do react evilly because they just don't know any better. It's really just a lack of knowledge that is evil, and it's a lack of thinking about what you're doing and what your actions have consequences for. Sorry, I have some flu symptoms, but I don't seem to have the flu. But goodness then is actually putting in the effort to avoid that evil. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Only strong people can genuinely generate the energy to generate goodness, and weak people just can't. Weak people are the people who fall into the trap of becoming evil. Evil is just human weakness. Like losing control of your negative emotions and lashing out on someone, letting them control you entirely, is just a facet of human weakness. And if you were strong enough, that just wouldn't happen to you. And that's why, for a completely different reason, I believe that there is only strength and weakness. It's not because um, morality is a made up concept or anything. It's because morality itself is determined by these things, and that's pretty much what it's entirely composed of. A good person isn't just an angelic being. They're somebody who's seen the world for what it is, and they've become stronger because of it, and they're just a positive addition to the world. That is a good person. A bad person then is someone who either hasn't experienced enough and isn't doing anything good and is kind of doing bad stuff, or someone who has experienced the world and decided that they're a victim and started wallowing in their own weakness. That's really all it is. I could have chosen many times in my life to do this, and sometimes I've chosen the wrong choice. And well, it's the points of where I chose the right choice and the actions I took and the strength of them that just outweighed the strength of the actions, where I was going in the opposite direction, that propels me more in the direction of being good, in my opinion. I'm not there yet, but I'm heading closer to there than I am to the evil direction. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So it takes strength to be good, and moral power requires power. It just requires your emotional power. It requires a strong will. It requires your hard work and discipline. Sorry, and if you make sure that you're tough enough, like mentally tough enough, then you're likely going to just be a better person. You're going to be better to other people. You're going to be able to spread your joy around the place. So that's what I think. It really is how a person deals with the challenge that determines whether they're just morally good or not. Do the strength of your values hold you up to actually want to conquer these challenges enough to conquer them? Like, is that really the case? And that's how good you are as a person. That's really it. And nobody has said that before. It's just something that I've kind of realised it for myself. It might have been in some philosophy book, but I myself haven't heard it before. Another thing is that few people can generate independent goodness. So I actually noticed when I was going to college, more so than my own school, a lot of people just lived in very happy homes, and they really said that they were, well, they didn't say it, but I could feel it off them. They were good people because they were raised well, and there was goodness in, like, put into them, and therefore they're bringing goodness out, and that's a good thing. But not many people can generate that independently, and it's a mark of a really strong person who can actually start that trend when there was none to begin with. Because I don't believe that evil exists. I believe that the concept of evil is just generated by our um, lack of strength and our um, unwillingness to cope properly and try to fight through the bad times. I think that's what evil uh, is led by. That all eventually leads to evil actions and deception, just unwillingness to see the truth. That's another thing. It's very much discussed in Jordan Peterson's book, 12 Rules of Life, and that's really what prompted this discussion in my brain. So, not many people can just generate this goodness independently. Not many people genuinely have a real set action in mind that is going to bring pleasure to more of the population. And I know that sounds a bit Epicurean, but you know what I mean. The thing is, entrepreneurs, I think, generate independent goodness because they bring goods to the population of consumers, and that those are the strong people, aren't they? Those are the good people. Those are the very good people. And more, well, I don't know, debatable whether there's evidence, but um, God Himself, like God, the Almighty Father, is supposed to be benevolent, a benevolent being who has everlasting mercy, always forgiving, and created the world, and understands and accepts every individual for who they are. That is the embodiment of goodness, and um, funnily enough, it's also the embodiment of strength because God is almighty, God is omnipotent, God can do anything, and God is also good. So that's um, that's kind of more of a correlation. So we have here infinite goodness and also infinite power, and that's why I think it's just corresponding. God is good because God is powerful, and God has the energy to be that good, whereas we don't often generate the energy to be that good. And then the evil, the opposite, is just a lack of the goodness, a lack of keeping your mind in order, a lack of willingness to resist the natural cause of effect. Um, that's why animals just don't have any morals, because they're just instinctive. They're not evil or anything, but if they were humans, we would see them as evil because humans have the intellectual strength and capacity to resist doing that. Therefore, humans would be classified as evil because they could generate the strength otherwise to know to not eat a little rabbit raw, whereas a lion can't do that. So we don't blame a lion because a lion doesn't have the mental strength we do. That's why strength is synonymous with goodness, because we subconsciously accept that people are mentally weaker, or beings are mentally weaker, and therefore they're not held to the same standards. Like if a mentally ill person came in slapping you in the face, you wouldn't call them a bad person because they don't have the mental strength to realize that that's a bad thing to do. So we don't know then that um, that's actually an evil action, or an unwilling um, or a willing action where they don't care enough. It's not like they don't care enough. It's just that they're not mentally strong enough to do that. So we need to expect evil when goodness might not be able to thrive. Okay, evil should be expected all the time. It should be. It's just the natural thing that happens. Humans are just naturally evil. Humans tend toward violence, and that's simply because of a lack of mental strength and guidance, a lack of possibly physical strength. And the efforts to avoid all of that is goodness itself. That is following God, um, unless for you you're not a believer, but I am, and other people are too. So if you have efforts to avoid that, then that's goodness. If you actually succeed in avoiding that, that's even better. So yeah, just know that goodness and evil are synonymous with strength and weakness, respectively, and um, you should fear weak people a lot more than you should fear strong people. Strong people can't do anything, or they likely won't do anything to you because they don't need to. They don't need to put you down to raise themselves up. Weak people will do that because they don't have the strength to do otherwise, and if they don't have the strength to do it, they don't have the mental strength or willpower to get strong enough. They would need to be influenced by a really good outside source, and that's the flow of goodness, and um, that's just how you can influence people, and it takes a lot of energy to do that. But you're welcome to try anyway. It's a really good act in and of itself, and you should always try that. So yeah, just know that, and know that we tend towards evil naturally, and humans are different from animals because we have the wisdom and the mental strength to avoid our carnal desires.